Commander Alex Warren couldn't sleep. It had been 3 days since the alien ships appeared in Earth's orbit, and 2 days since they had sent their first message. He stood by the large window of the Earth Coalition Navy headquarters, watching. The distant lights of the Valthusian fleet shine like new stars in the night sky. The message had been simple. We come in peace. We wish to speak. Alex's phone buzzed. It was a message from Admiral Lisa Hayes. Meeting room. Now. 5 minutes later, Alex entered a room filled with the most important military and political leaders on Earth. President Paul Grant sat at the head of the table, his face showing the strain of sleepless nights. Commander Warren, the president, said, "You've been chosen to lead our first face-to-face meeting with the aliens." Alex felt his heart beat faster. "Sir? Why me?" "Your background in both military tactics and diplomacy makes you ideal. Plus, your ship, the ECN Horizon, is our newest and most advanced vessel. We want to show these visitors our best. When do I leave?" "Tomorrow morning. You'll take Ambassador Darren Klein with you. He'll do most of the talking, but we need your military expertise to assess any potential threats." The room was quiet, as everyone thought about what this meant. Humans were not alone in the universe, and soon they would meet their cosmic neighbors for the first time. The ECN Horizon was a marvel of human engineering. Nearly 400 meters long with a crew of 150, it represented the peak of Earth's space technology. As Alex settled into the captain's chair, he felt the familiar hum of the engines beneath him. "All systems ready, Commander," said Lieutenant Stephanie Morris from her station. She was the ship's communications officer and one of the best in the fleet. "Set course for the coordinates they provided," Alex ordered. "Let's go meet some aliens." The journey to the designated meeting point took just under an hour. As they approached, Alex got his first close look at a Valthusian ship. It was enormous, at least 3 times the size of the Horizon, with a sleek design that reminded him of sea creatures from Earth's deepest oceans. "They're hailing us, sir," Stephanie announced. "Put them through." The main screen lit up, and Alex found himself looking at a being unlike anything he had ever seen. The alien had blue skin that seemed to shimmer with an inner light. Its face featured 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and where a human would have a mouth, it had what looked like small moving mandibles. "Greetings, Earth vessel," the alien said in perfect English. "I am High Commander Zorn of the Valthusian Confederation. We welcome you to this historic meeting." Alex nodded respectfully. "Thank you, High Commander. I am Commander Alex Warren of the Earth Coalition Navy, and with me is Ambassador Darren Klein, representing the nations of Earth." Darren stepped forward. He was a tall man with gray hair and a calm demeanor that had served him well through decades of international diplomacy. "We are honored to meet you, High Commander. Your arrival marks a new chapter in human history." "Indeed," Zorn replied. "We would be pleased if you would join us aboard our vessel for further discussions. We have prepared suitable environments for human life support." Alex and Darren exchanged glances. This was not unexpected, but still a major decision. "We would be honored," Darren said after a moment. The inside of the Valthusian ship was even more impressive than the outside. Alex and Darren, along with a small security team, were led through corridors that seemed to be made of a living metal that adjusted to their presence. The air was slightly thicker than Earth's, but breathable. They were brought to a large room with a circular table. High Commander Zorn waited with 3 other Valthusians. "Please be seated," Zorn said, gesturing to chairs that looked surprisingly human-compatible. "We have much to discuss." Once everyone was settled, Zorn began. "First, let me express our sincere admiration for your species. We have been observing Earth for some time, and the speed of your development is remarkable." "Thank you," Darren replied carefully. "We've come a long way." "Indeed. To go from simple agrarian societies to space travel in just a few thousand years is an achievement unmatched in our records." Alex tried to keep his face neutral, but something about that statement seemed off. Human civilization was older than a few thousand years, even if space travel was recent. Zorn continued, seemingly unaware of Alex's confusion. Most species take tens of thousands of years to achieve what humanity has done since your civilization began approximately 5,000 Earth years ago. This time Darren couldn't hide his surprise. I'm sorry, High Commander, but I think there might be a misunderstanding. Human civilization is older than 5,000 years. Our earliest cities date back nearly 10,000 years, and our species has existed for roughly 300,000 years. The four Valthusians looked at each other, their mandibles clicking rapidly in what might have been their version of whispered conversation. Finally, Zorn turned back to the humans. Interesting. Our data suggests a much more recent emergence. Perhaps we should compare historical records at a later time. For now, let us focus on the purpose of our visit. One of the other Valthusians activated a device in the center of the table, and a holographic image of the galaxy appeared. A small section glowed red. This, Zorn explained, is Krell territory. The Krell are a highly aggressive species that has been expanding their influence. They pose a significant threat to multiple civilizations, including potentially yours. Are they aware of Earth? Alex asked, his military mind immediately assessing the danger. Not yet, as far as we know. But it is only a matter of time. This is one reason we have sought contact with your species. The Valthusian Confederation offers protection and alliance to Earth. Darren leaned forward. And what would this alliance entail? Exchange of technology, cultural knowledge, and mutual defense. We would share our advances in space travel, energy production, and medicine. In return, we ask for your assistance in containing the Krell threat. Assistance in what way? Alex asked. Your species has shown remarkable adaptability and innovative thinking, qualities that could prove valuable in our strategic planning. And should conflict arise, we would stand together. The meeting continued for hours as they discussed details of the proposed alliance. Throughout the conversation, Alex noticed that the Valthusians repeatedly referred to humanity's rapid development and accelerated evolution. As they prepared to return to the horizon, Zorn presented them with a data device. This contains information about our civilization and technology that might be of interest. Consider it a gesture of good faith. Back on Earth, Dr. Olivia Patel waited impatiently in her laboratory at the Global Science Institute. As the leading expert on xenobiology, though until now her work had been purely theoretical, she had been chosen to analyze any scientific data from the meeting. When Alexei and Darren arrived with the Valthusian device, she immediately went to work. This is amazing, she said after several hours of study. Their understanding of genetics and evolutionary biology is centuries ahead of ours. But as she dug deeper into the data, her excitement turned to confusion. Something's not right, she muttered. What is it? Alex asked. Olivia pointed to a section of the alien text that her computer had translated. According to this, they believe human civilization just appeared suddenly about 5,000 years ago. They think we went from primitive hunter-gatherers to building the pyramids almost overnight. That's what they said during the meeting. Darren confirmed. I corrected them, but they seemed to dismiss it. But why would an advanced spacefaring race get something so basic wrong? Olivia wondered. It doesn't make sense. She continued searching through the data until she found something that made her freeze. Oh my God, she whispered. What? Alex and Darren said, almost simultaneously. Olivia looked up, her face pale. They didn't make a mistake. They think we're 5,000 years old because that's what all their scans show. But look at this deep planetary scan they did of Earth. On her screen was an image of what looked like a massive structure buried deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. According to their data, Olivia said, this structure is over 200 million years old, and it appears to be artificial. Alex stared at the image. If humans didn't build that, then who did? Darren finished his thought. Olivia's voice was barely above, a whisper. What if they did? What if we did? 4 billion years. Dr. Olivia Patel placed her coffee mug down hard on the conference table. That's how long life has existed on Earth. 200,000 years for modern humans. 10,000 years since our first cities. And these aliens think we started just 5,000 years ago? It was early morning at the Pentagon. The emergency meeting had been called as soon as President Grant reviewed the initial findings from the Valthusian data device. Around the table sat the 12 people now responsible for humanity's response to first contact. General Richard Donovan rubbed his tired eyes. So they're either completely wrong about us, or they're lying. Or there's something else going on that we don't understand yet, Secretary of Global Affairs Kate Russell added. She was a sharp woman in her 50s who had spent decades in international diplomacy. Now she faced her biggest challenge: interstellar diplomacy. Alex studied the holographic display of the underwater structure the Valthusians had detected. What's our plan to investigate this? Dr. Patel pushed her glasses up her nose. I've already put together a team. The structure is deep, nearly 4,000 meters below the ocean surface in the Pacific. We'll need specialized equipment. You'll have whatever you need, President Grant said firmly. In the meantime, Ambassador Klein will continue discussions with the Valthusians. We need to find out more about these Krell they're so worried about. Darren Klein nodded. I'm scheduled to meet with High Commander Zorn again tomorrow. I'll try to get more information without revealing our suspicions. Be careful, Kate warned. If they're deliberately hiding something from us, we don't want to show our hand too early. As the meeting ended, Alex caught up with Olivia in the hallway. I want to join your expedition to the underwater site, he said. Olivia looked surprised. Don't you have duties with the Horizon? I've requested temporary reassignment. If this structure is what we think it might be, I want to see it firsthand. She smiled. We leave for the Pacific tomorrow. Pack for deep water. The research vessel, Ocean Explorer, rocked gently on the waves. Below it, a team of 4 people descended in the deep-sea submersible Mariana toward the ocean floor. Alex sat beside Olivia, with marine archaeologist Dr. Eric Gallagher and pilot Sam Jackson at the controls. Approaching 3,000 meters, Sam announced. All systems normal. The darkness outside was complete except for the submersible's lights. Strange deep-sea creatures occasionally drifted past, their bodies transparent or bizarrely shaped for life under extreme pressure. The structure should be visible soon, Eric said, checking the sonar readings. Just over that underwater ridge. As they cleared the ridge, all 4 gasped. My God, whispered Sam. Below them sprawled what could only be described as a city. Geometric buildings, now covered in sea life, stretched across the ocean floor. At the center stood a massive pyramid-like structure that rose at least 200 meters from the seabed. This can't be natural, Eric said, his voice filled with awe. Those are clearly buildings, streets, what look like public squares. And nothing like this has ever been discovered before? Alex asked. Never, Eric confirmed. The oldest known underwater ruins are maybe 10,000 years old. Cities that were flooded when sea levels rose after the last ice age. But this is different. It's far deeper than any previously known civilization could have built. Sam maneuvered the submersible closer to the central pyramid. As their lights played over its surface, they could see it was covered in symbols. Lines, curves, and dots arranged in patterns that looked somehow familiar yet entirely alien. Can we land? Olivia asked. I want samples. I'm finding a clear spot now, Sam replied. The Mariana settled on what appeared to be a large plaza in front of the pyramid. Dressed in specialized deep-sea suits, Alex and Olivia prepared to exit the submersible. Remember 10 minutes max, Eric reminded them. The suits can handle the pressure, but not for long. Stepping onto the ancient plaza was surreal. Alex's boots disturbed sediment that had likely remained undisturbed for millions of years. He swept his light across the nearest building and froze. Olivia, he called over the comm. Look at this. She moved to his side. On the wall was a carving, weathered by countless years under the ocean, but still recognizable. It showed a bipedal figure, clearly humanoid in shape, reaching toward what appeared to be stars. It looks human, she whispered. But that's impossible. Eric's voice came through their comms. Humans didn't exist 200 million years ago. The dinosaurs were just getting started then. Olivia moved carefully toward the pyramid. Let's check the main structure. The entrance was massive, easily 20 meters tall. Inside, their lights revealed a large chamber with walls covered in more of the strange symbols. At the center stood a raised platform with what appeared to be a control panel. Look familiar? Alex asked. Olivia nodded slowly. It's similar to the interface the Valthusians showed us on their ship. She approached the panel, studying it without touching. Some of these symbols match ones I've seen in the Valthusian data, and others. She paused, looking troubled. Others look like ancient human writing, early Sumerian, Egyptian hieroglyphs, but simplified, more fundamental. Their comm units crackled. 2 minutes left, Sam warned. You need to start heading back. Just a moment, Olivia said. She carefully took samples from the control panel and the wall carvings. Okay, we're coming back. Back on the Ocean Explorer, Olivia worked through the night analyzing the samples. When morning came, she called Alex to her makeshift lab. Look at this, she said, pointing to her computer screen. I compared the DNA from organic material found on the control panel to the human genome. Alex leaned closer. What am I looking at? Similarities. Too many to be coincidence. Whatever left traces on that panel was genetically related to modern humans. But it's not Homo sapiens or any known human ancestor. Then what is it? I don't know. But it's like looking at a template. As if modern humans were derived from whatever this was. Alex fell silent, trying to process this information. Finally, he said, We need to tell the others. In Washington, the special committee gathered again. Olivia presented her findings, along with videos from the underwater expedition. Based on all evidence, she concluded, the structure was built by a technologically advanced civilization that existed on Earth approximately 200 million years ago. And that civilization appears to have been humanoid, with genetic similarities to modern humans. The room was silent for a long moment. How is this possible? President Grant finally asked. Everything we know about human evolution says we evolved from primates a few million years ago at most. I have a theory, Olivia said, but it's going to sound crazy. She pulled up new data from the Valthusian device. I found hidden files, information that wasn't immediately visible. They contain references to Earth as the accelerated world and the anomaly. And there's more. She showed them a star chart with several planets highlighted. These are worlds the Valthusians have visited. 3 of them show evidence of ancient civilizations that vanished mysteriously. Like the underwater city, Kate Russell said. Exactly, but here's where it gets interesting. Olivia highlighted one section of text. According to this, the Krell have existed for at least 500 million years. They're one of the oldest species in the galaxy, and they've had periodic conflicts with another species called, she hesitated, the predecessors. Who are the predecessors? Alex asked. The translation is imperfect, but from what I can gather, they were a spacefaring civilization that established colonies throughout this part of the galaxy, including Earth. General Donovan leaned forward. Are you saying humans are descendants of aliens? No, Olivia said. I'm saying we may be those aliens, or rather, what's left of them after multiple extinction events. She pointed to the ocean. Floor images again. What if human civilization has risen and fallen multiple times? What if we're not as young as everyone thinks, even ourselves? What if someone has been systematically wiping us out whenever we reach a certain point? Ambassador Klein, who had been silent until now, spoke up. The Valthusians just sent a new message. They want to accelerate our alliance talks. They say the Krell fleet is on the move, and they believe Earth might be in danger. President Grant looked around the table. It seems we have more questions than answers. But one thing is clear. We need to learn more and quickly. Olivia, continue your research. Alex, prepare the horizon for possible deployment. Darren, meet with the Valthusians, but be careful what you reveal. As the meeting broke up, Alex found himself looking out the window at the clear blue sky. Somewhere up there, ancient enemies might be gathering, and humanity's true history might be far older and far more dangerous than anyone had ever imagined. The sun was setting over the Pacific Ocean as the research vessel Ocean Explorer made its way back to San Diego. On the rear deck, Alex Warren stood alone, watching the golden light fade into darkness. His mind kept returning to the ancient city beneath the waves. If humans had built that city 200 million years ago, what did that mean for everything they believed about themselves? His phone buzzed. It was a message from Admiral Hayes. "Turn on the news now." Alex hurried to the ship's common room where several crew members were already gathered around the television. The screen showed live footage of the night sky above, major cities around the world. New lights had appeared among the stars, dozens of them arranged in a perfect circle. "More ships," whispered Sam Jackson, the submersible pilot. "A lot more." The newscaster's voice was tense. "The Valthusian ambassador has confirmed that these new vessels are not part of their fleet. They are believed to belong to the Krell, the hostile species that the Valthusians have warned Earth about. So far, the ships have made no attempt to communicate and remain in high orbit." Alex's phone rang again. "Warren," he answered. "Get back here now," Admiral Hayes ordered. "We're sending a helicopter to bring you and Dr. Patel directly to Washington. The president is calling an emergency session." 4 hours later, Alex and Olivia walked into a situation room buzzing with activity. Screens displayed the positions of the new ships, military readiness reports, and live news feeds from around the world. People were frightened, but so far there had been no panic. President Grant looked up as they entered. "Glad you're here. The Valthusians have requested an immediate meeting. High Commander Zorn says it's urgent." "What about the underwater city?" Alex asked. "Have you told them we found it?" "Not yet," Ambassador Klein replied. "We thought it best to hear what they have to say first." The Valthusian delegation arrived within the hour. High Commander Zorn looked different somehow. His blue skin seemed duller, his movements less fluid. He was accompanied by 2 other Valthusians that Alex hadn't seen before. "Thank you for meeting on such short notice," Zorn began once they were all seated. "As you can see, the situation has become critical. The Krell have found Earth." "Why are they here?" President Grant asked directly. "What do they want?" Zorn's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "They want what they have always wanted, to prevent the return of their ancient enemy." "You mean the predecessors," Olivia said. The Valthusians exchanged quick glances. "You have learned much in a short time," Zorn said. "Yes, the predecessors, the species that challenged Krell dominance of the galaxy millions of years ago. And you believe these predecessors have some connection to Earth?" General Donovan prompted. Zorn hesitated, then seemed to come to a decision. "It is time for truth between our peoples. The Krell and the predecessors fought a devastating war that lasted for thousands of years. The predecessors eventually lost, but not before dealing the Krell a serious blow. Most of the predecessors were wiped out, but some escaped to distant planets. Including Earth," Alex said. "Yes. They established a colony here approximately 250 million of your years ago. They were masters of genetic engineering and began to adapt themselves to Earth's environment. But the Krell found them. And destroyed them," Olivia finished. "That's the city we found underwater." All 3 Valthusians stared at her. "You found it?" one of them asked, clearly surprised. "We did," President Grant confirmed. "A city 4,000 meters below the Pacific Ocean, built by humanoid beings 200 million years ago." Zorn's mandibles clicked rapidly. "This confirms our theories. After destroying the original colony, the Krell set up monitoring stations around your solar system. Whenever the descendants of the predecessors, your ancestors, reached a certain level of technology, the Krell would return and trigger an extinction event." "How many times has this happened?" Kate Russell asked. "At least 7 that we can determine," Zorn replied. "The most recent was approximately 12,000 years ago, corresponding to the end of your last ice age." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Human civilization had risen and been destroyed multiple times throughout Earth's history. "Wait," Alex said suddenly. If the Krell have been doing this for millions of years, why did they let us develop this far now? Why didn't they stop us sooner? An excellent question, Zorn said. We believe they lost track of Earth after the last extinction. Your solar system passed through a dense nebula that blocked their monitoring signals. By the time the solar system emerged, the Krell Empire had contracted due to internal conflicts. They only recently rediscovered your planet. And that's when you found us too, President Grant said. Is that just a coincidence? Zorn's body language changed subtly. No. We have been searching for surviving predecessor colonies for millennia. We were once allies before their defeat. When we detected unusual signals from your planet, radio waves, digital transmissions, we came to investigate. So what happens now? Ambassador Klein asked. Will the Krell attack us? They are cautious. Your current technology level poses no threat to them. But they know what your species is capable of becoming. They will likely demand evidence that you are not related to the predecessors. But we are, Olivia said. I found genetic markers in the underwater city that match modern human DNA. Then we must find another solution, Zorn said firmly. The Valthusian Confederation stands with Earth. We will not allow another extinction. As the meeting continued, Alex slipped out of the room. He needed air, needed to think. In the hallway, he found Olivia had followed him. It's a lot to process, she said quietly. We're the descendants of an ancient spacefaring civilization, Alex murmured. Our ancestors crossed the stars, fought a galactic war, and now their ancient enemies have found us again. There's more, Olivia said, her voice low. I didn't want to say this in front of everyone until I was sure. She showed him her tablet. These are the symbols from the underwater city compared to writing systems from Earth's earliest civilizations, Sumerian, Proto-Sinitic, Ancient Chinese. There are clear similarities. What does that mean? It means some knowledge survived each extinction, buried deep in our collective memory, perhaps even in our DNA. The predecessors found ways to preserve information through each reset. Alex stared at the symbols. So somewhere inside us we still remember who we were. Possibly. And there's something else I found in the Valthusian data. She pulled up another file. References to a predecessor technology called the Nexus. It was a device that could store consciousness itself, memories, knowledge, skills. Like a backup for a civilization, Alex said. Exactly. And according to this, the last surviving predecessors on Earth created one before the Krell found them. They hid it somewhere on the planet. Alex felt a chill run down his spine. If we could find it, we might unlock everything the predecessors knew, Olivia finished, including how they fought the Krell. Their conversation was interrupted by alarms blaring throughout the building. They rushed back to the Situation Room just as General Donovan was receiving a report. The Krell ships are changing formation, he announced. They're moving into lower orbit. On the main screen, they watched as the alien vessels formed a new pattern above Earth. A communication officer handed President Grant a message. They're broadcasting on all frequencies, he said grimly. They're demanding we prove we are not related to the predecessors. If we cannot, they will cleanse the planet. High Commander Zorn stepped forward. We must find the Nexus. It is your only hope. How do we find something that was hidden 200 million years ago? Kate Russell asked. Olivia looked at the images from the underwater city. We start where it all began, she said. The symbols on the walls weren't just decorative. I think they're a map. Alex felt a strange certainty growing inside him, as if some long-dormant part of his mind was awakening. I think I know where to look, he said, surprising himself. He pointed to a particular pattern on the wall. This isn't just a symbol, it's a location. Everyone turned to look at him. How do you know that? President Grant asked. Alex stared at the pattern, feeling memories that couldn't possibly be his own stirring in his mind. I don't know, I just know. I can't explain it, Alex said as the military helicopter flew over the mountains of Peru. When I saw that symbol, something just clicked in my mind. like remembering a place you visited as a child. Seated across from him, Olivia studied her tablet, comparing the symbol Alex had identified with satellite images of the Andean mountain range. Dr. Eric Gallagher sat beside her, still looking uneasy about the hasty expedition. "How much farther?" General Donovan asked from the front seat. He had insisted on joining them, bringing a squad of Special Forces soldiers as protection. "About 10 minutes," the pilot replied. Outside, the first light of dawn touched the mountain peaks. High above, barely visible in the brightening sky, the Krell ships maintained their threatening position. They had given Earth 3 days to provide proof that humans were not descendants of the predecessors. 1 day had already passed. "There," Alex said suddenly, pointing to a particular mountain. "That's it." The helicopter circled the area. At first there seemed to be nothing special about the location, just another mountain in the Andes. But, as they flew lower, Olivia spotted something. "Look at the rock formation near the peak," she said. "It's too regular to be natural." The pilot landed in a small clearing about halfway up the mountain. As the team disembarked, Alex felt a strange sense of familiarity, despite never having visited this place before. "The entrance should be on the eastern face," he said, surprising himself again with knowledge he shouldn't possess. General Donovan gave him a measured look. "Warren, I hope you know what you're doing. The fate of our planet might depend on it." They hiked for nearly an hour before reaching the eastern side of the mountain. At first, there appeared to be nothing but solid rock. Then Olivia noticed faint lines carved into the stone, weathered by millions of years but still visible. "These match the symbols from the underwater city," she confirmed. Alex approached the rock face, feeling drawn to a particular spot. He pressed his palm against the cold stone. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, to everyone's shock, the rock began to glow faintly beneath his hand. "How did you do that?" Eric asked, wide-eyed. "I don't know," Alex replied honestly. With a low rumbling sound, a section of the mountain slid away, revealing a dark passage leading inside. The soldiers switched on their flashlights, illuminating an ancient corridor that seemed impossibly well preserved. "The walls are made of the same crystalline material we found in the underwater city," Olivia noted as they entered cautiously. The passage led them deep into the mountain, sloping gently downward. After walking for about 10 minutes, they emerged into a vast chamber that took their breath away. The room was nearly 100 meters across, with a domed ceiling that seemed to shimmer with its own soft light. In the center stood a raised platform, and on it a device unlike anything they had ever seen. A sphere of swirling energy contained within a framework of the same crystalline material that made up the walls. "The Nexus," Olivia whispered. Around the chamber, other devices and control panels lined the walls. Despite being millions of years old, everything looked as if it had been built yesterday. "How is this possible?" General Donovan asked. "Nothing should survive this long." "The predecessors clearly had technology far beyond our understanding," Eric replied, his archaeological expertise momentarily overwhelmed by what he was seeing. Alex approached the central platform, drawn to the Nexus like a moth to flame. As he got closer, the swirling energy within the sphere seemed to pulse in response to his presence. "Alex, be careful," Olivia warned. But he couldn't stop himself. When he reached the platform, he placed his hand on a small panel next to the sphere. Immediately, the entire chamber came alive with light. The sphere expanded, energy flowing out of it in streams that reached toward the ceiling. Then a voice spoke, not in sound, but directly in their minds. "Genetic recognition confirmed. Descendant identified. Nexus activation protocol initiated." Alex felt a jolt of energy pass through his body. Images began flooding his mind. Stars, planets, spacecraft, faces of beings who looked almost human, but not quite. Knowledge poured into him like water into an empty vessel. Mathematics, physics, history spanning millions of years. He gasped and staggered backward. Olivia rushed to his side, supporting him before he could fall. "Alex, are you okay? What happened?" "I saw," he struggled to find words. "I saw everything. Our history. Who we were. What happened to us." The energy from the sphere had settled into a steady glow. Now, a holographic image appeared above it, a figure that looked human except for subtle differences in facial structure and slightly elongated limbs. "If you are seeing this message," the figure said in a language that somehow they all understood, "then you are our descendants, and you have survived long enough to rediscover your heritage." The figure, clearly one of the predecessors, explained how they had come to Earth 250 million years ago, fleeing the Krell. They had established a thriving civilization, but were eventually found and attacked. Rather than face complete extinction, they had implemented what they called the continuity protocol. "We could not survive in our current form," the hologram explained, "but we could ensure our legacy continued. We seeded this world with our genetic material, modified to evolve, alongside Earth's native life. When the time was right, our consciousness, our knowledge, our very essence would reawaken in our descendants. In you." The hologram showed how the predecessors had hidden backup facilities like this one all over the planet, each containing a Nexus device to store their collective knowledge and consciousness. Each time the Krell returned to wipe out the emerging human civilization, enough survivors remained to start again. And each time, subtle genetic memories guided them to redevelop language, technology, and society. "We are your ancestors," the figure continued, "and you are our hope. The Krell fear us because we were the only species to ever truly challenge them. They believe they destroyed us, but we found a way to survive. Through you." General Donovan stepped forward. "This is all fascinating, but how does it help us now? The Krell are in orbit, threatening to destroy us all in less than 2 days." As if responding to his question, the hologram changed to show detailed information about Krell ships, weapons, and weaknesses. "The Nexus contains all our knowledge, including how we fought the Krell," Alex said, somehow understanding the information being displayed. "But there's a problem. The Krell ships in orbit are far more advanced than what the predecessors faced. They've had millions of years to improve their technology." "So, what do we do?" one of the soldiers asked. Alex turned to look at the Nexus. Again. "There's more here than just information. The Nexus was designed to do something else, to reawaken the consciousness of the predecessors within genetically compatible hosts." "You mean us?" Olivia asked. "It would put their minds in our bodies?" "Not exactly," Alex replied. "More like merging. Their knowledge, their skills, their memories, combined with ours." General Donovan frowned. "Are you suggesting we let some ancient alien consciousness take over our minds?" "Not take over," Alex said. "Join with, enhance. It's what they planned all along, why they preserved their genetic line through us. So that one day, when the Krell returned, we could become what they were and fight back." A heavy silence fell over the group as they considered what this meant. "Is it safe?" Olivia finally asked. Alex couldn't lie. "I don't know. I can feel the process beginning in me already, from just touching the control panel. It's overwhelming, but I'm still me, just more." "We need to report this to the president," General Donovan said, pulling out his satellite phone. As he made the call, Alex looked at the Nexus with new understanding. The predecessors hadn't just left a message or a weapon, they had left themselves, waiting patiently for millions of years for their children to find them again. And now, with the Krell in orbit ready to destroy humanity once more, the time had come for the ancient war to begin anew. "Tell the president," Alex said as General Donovan finished his call, "that we've found our proof of connection to the predecessors, but we've also found something else." "What's that?" the general asked. Alex's eyes reflected the glow of the Nexus. "A way to fight back." The skies above Earth were filled with tension. The Krell ultimatum had less than 12 hours remaining, and their massive ships hung like dark stars in the night sky. In cities across the world, people looked up with fear, many praying, others saying goodbye to loved ones. Inside the White House Situation Room, President Grant faced the most difficult decision of his life. "You're saying we should activate all the Nexus devices?" he asked Alex Warren. Alex nodded. His eyes now had a strange depth to them, as if he was seeing more than just the room around him. The predecessors built 7 main nexus chambers around the world, he explained. When they first sensed the Krell approaching millions of years ago, they created these as backups for their civilization. Each one contains the collective knowledge and consciousness of thousands of their people. And merging with these consciousnesses will help us fight the Krell? General Donovan asked skeptically. It's our only chance, Olivia Patel replied. The Krell technology is too advanced for us to fight conventionally, but with the predecessors' knowledge we might stand a chance. The Velthusian High Commander Zorn, who had been invited to the meeting, spoke up. The predecessors were masters of neurological technology. They could link minds across vast distances, creating a unified consciousness while maintaining individual identity. What happens to the people who connect with the Nexus? Kate Russell asked. Do they lose themselves? Alex shook his head. No, I'm still me. But I also remember things I never experienced, stars I never saw, worlds I never walked on. The memories of the predecessor consciousness that merged with mine feel like dreams that become clearer the more I focus on them. President Grant turned to the large screen showing the Krell ships. How many people would need to connect with these Nexus devices? Thousands, Alex replied. Maybe tens of thousands. The more connections, the stronger the network becomes. And you're sure this is the only way? The predecessors fought the Krell to a standstill with far fewer resources than we have now. With their knowledge and our numbers, yes, I believe we can win. The president took a deep breath. Then let's do it. Within hours, teams were dispatched to the 6 other Nexus locations that Alex had identified, in Siberia, Australia, Egypt, Japan, Brazil, and Antarctica. As each chamber was activated, more and more people experienced the connection with the ancient consciousnesses waiting within. Military personnel were the first to volunteer, followed by scientists and engineers. The effect was remarkable. People emerged from the connection with new skills, new knowledge, and a unified purpose. On the horizon, now orbiting Earth alongside Velthusian ships, Commander Alex Warren watched as the Krell deadline approached. He could feel the growing network of connected minds, a vast web of human and predecessor consciousness working together. They're moving, Lieutenant Morris reported, as the Krell ships began to change formation. They're preparing to attack. Alex closed his eyes, connecting to the thousands of minds now linked across the planet. Together they accessed technology that had been hidden for millions of years. Defensive systems built into the very mountains and oceans of Earth, waiting for the moment of need. When the Krell fired their first shots, they met not the primitive defenses they expected, but a shield of energy that sprang up around the planet. From the oceans and hidden mountain bases, ancient weapons activated, answering the alien attack with unexpected force. In orbit, the ECN Horizon joined the battle, its systems enhanced by predecessor technology that Olivia and her team had adapted in mere hours. The Krell are retreating, someone shouted as the massive alien ships began to pull back. But Alex knew better. Not retreating, he said quietly. Regrouping. This is just the beginning. He stood at the viewport watching as Earth's combined forces, human, predecessor, and Velthusian, prepared to face the Krell armada. The ancient war had begun anew, but this time, humanity was ready. They were no longer the young species. The Krell had repeatedly culled. They were the heirs of an ancient legacy, finally awakened to their true potential. Earth wasn't young at all, and now the whole galaxy would know it.